All right. Well, good morning. And I'm Steve Bonoff, President of Printing Industry Midwest, the trade association for print service providers and graphic communication companies in the Midwest, Minnesota, Iowa, Nebraska, and the Dakotas. And I think we have representatives from all those states on our registration roster today. So we're really excited about the opportunity that we've got here today. Obviously, sales is the number one driver that keeps our businesses going and keeps all of us employed. And so there really isn't much more of an important topic that we could be doing. And especially post-COVID, life as we all know it will never be the same. And that's not a bad thing because life continues to change and we just need to continue to be flexible enough to change with it. And so that's why we're here today with a terrific friend of ours, Bill Farquharson, to share with us his experience. And now that experience is pretty extensive. I'm not going to get into his age or his future grandfatherly status, but you know, Bill he's got over 35 years of experience in our industry, really leading this discussion of how to drive sales. And he does that through being a thought leader via a variety of publications. He's created a number of training programs. And I think most importantly, he's a terrific coach because that's really what this is about when we talk about sales. There's a lot of knowledge involved in how to know what to sell, but it's really about the human interactions and the relationships that you develop. And that's what I think Bill really exceeds at. So we're going to get some of that on our program today. A little housekeeping duties, though, is that this is a webinar, not a meeting. I'm sure you're all well versed in a variety of different ways that we meet via Zoom, but in this way, you're automatically muted and you have a Q&A function at the bottom of your screen. We appreciate if you would post your questions to that Q&A because then we can answer it live or we can wait until an opportune time. We can manage that question more effectively. If you have a technical question, you can chat it in to the staff. You can raise your hand via that technology as well. And you can always, of course, change the view of your screen in the upper right-hand corner to a speaker view or gallery view. But I suggest you shift it to speaker view so you don't have to watch me. All right, I think that's all the housekeeping I had. I'd like to turn it over and welcome Bill. Great to see you and appreciate you being here today.
Good to see you too, my friend. You and I go way, way back.
Too.
So careful with the age joke, Steve.
Yeah, well, I'm a little bit younger, so that's okay.
But yes, I am going to be a grandfather for the first time in October, and those are words that I'm still getting my head around. So that's, but very exciting from a family standpoint. We're very, very excited. And thank you for having me today. Greetings from Boston, where this is going to make you jealous, 82 degrees outside and steamy and pollen fills everywhere. Today, I'm going to be talking on the subject of sales actions to take right now. And one of the things that I think you need to understand as you're listening is these aren't just magical things to do only right now. This is a way of getting yourself some momentum again. So 6 months from now, if you find yourself stuck, you can come back to these words and you can revisit this conversation and start again. The fundamentals of sales are still applicable and they do not change just because of a pandemic. But let me share my screen and get going here with some thoughts on, there we go. Thoughts on what y'all ought to be doing right now. There we are. As Steve mentioned, I can see the Q&A. If you've got a question along the way, please throw it in there. Otherwise, spoiler alert, I will keep talking. So we'll go as long as you need. I've given this presentation before and we had at one point, this is the most I've ever had. We had an hour and 20 minutes worth of Q&A follow-up. So there's a lot of meat on this bone. I'm going to present this in my typical Bostonian fast pace, and hopefully you will get something out of it. As Steve mentioned, I've been in this business for almost 40 years. I started in 1982 selling business forms. That would be computer forms and computerized invoices and statements and checks and things. And then I got into print, and then I got into digital. So I have sold print. I sold digital print when it was called on-demand printing. I remember reading the Wall Street Journal, and there was a front page article that talked about this thing called digital and on-demand printing. And I get into that very quickly and early. I've also sold wide format and labels and promotional and all that stuff. I am currently a sales trainer for the graphic arts. I'm a writer for Printing Impressions magazine, and a columnist. I am a blogger for them as well. They pick up my blog and distribute it. I've also got this thing called the Sales Vault, which we are offering free to Printing Industries Midwest members. So if you go to salesvaultinsider.com/PIM, you will see that we have assembled a whole ton of content. This is a platform for sales training and sales information. We've got live workshops. There's 2 that are going on right now. As a matter of fact, I left one upstairs. I turned the computer on and got it started. And one of my presenters, Kelly Malazzi, is going on upstairs on a different Zoom call. But we're constantly adding new live workshops. And again, you get a 30-day free trial on this thing, and then you get a discounted rate of a whopping $30 per month per participant. And it's a great deal. We opened the doors on this thing New Year's Eve, and it has grown exponentially ever since. So we are having a lot of fun with it. My wife does the website, my daughter does the marketing, and we are taking this in whatever directions you tell us. So please do get involved. Take us up on that offer. And hopefully today's information will be a catalyst for you to say, wow, maybe this guy does know what he's talking about. Let's see what else he knows. And you join the Sales Vault. So, whoops, hold on. I'm done with that. There we go. So here are 10 sales actions. If Steve had said, I want you to come up with 20, I could do it, or 25. There's so much to do right now. This is such an amazing opportunity. I know that you are frustrated. I know that it's difficult to find people, and you're not quite certain where to look because they're not in their office, or they're not in their office a lot. There was an article in the Wall Street Journal this morning talking about how difficult it is, even for companies themselves, with people coming and going, that they're finding that people want to work from home on Mondays and Fridays, but nobody wants to work from the office. So there's a lot of uncertainty and confusion and anxiety out there. I want you to see this as opportunity. I want you to see this as, here's a way that we can come out of this really well. I want you to start at home. Start by protecting your turf. So here's my first piece of advice. Think about your top accounts and ask the question, on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the highest, how secure is this account? How likely am I to keep this account? 10 being they will absolutely not leave me. 1 being they will leave me by the time I finish this sentence. And assign a number to all of your accounts, especially your top accounts. Because here's the thing, the higher the number, the more vulnerable you actually are. Because if you're saying to yourself, oh, that company, they're an 8, they're a 9, then you've just committed the first step towards down a path that ends with, what do you mean you're leaving? What do you mean you're firing me? The number one reason why we lose an account is not that we get outbid. It's that the client starts to believe that we've stopped working for them. So if you're thinking to yourself, I'm not vulnerable, they love me in this account, then you've stopped working for them. This is a key message that right now you need to understand, because your clients are trying to reopen. They're trying to get back out there and they need help. And if you're not bringing them new ideas and somebody else is, you're vulnerable. So then how do you go about that? Well, starting with understanding them. According to Purchasing Magazine, there's 3 reasons why people buy from you. Number 1 is your raw sales ability. Number 2 is your knowledge of your own products and services. And number 3 is your knowledge of them. And there's no excuse for not understanding your customer, given the amount of information publicly available. Not their print needs, though, their business needs. What are their challenges? What are their growth plans? What are their fears? What are their anxieties? You need to understand all of this. So on a scale of 1 to 10, do I understand my top accounts? Next up, scale of 1 to 10, how wide is my contact base within each account? How wide is my customer base, my contact base? Because here's the thing. You want to make it your goal to get to know everyone at every account. That's your goal. You want to have someone say to you, I'm sorry, do you work here? I see you here all the time. Or, oh my gosh, Steve, are we your only account? You want to get invited to the holiday party. These are all great signs. The best way to never prospect again, it's one of my favorite sales tips. I put it in my book. The best way to never prospect again is to network from within, get to know everyone. Because here's the thing, if they ever leave that company, they go to another company, you've got an in. So understanding, getting a wide variety of contacts, meeting one new person every time you go there. Another great sales tip. This is a way of protecting your base. Because if one of your key contacts leaves and you don't have a wide base, they're going to bring in their own vendor. Ask yourself one final question. When is the last time I brought this account a new idea? You need to continue to bring them new ideas and then remind them, this is why you buy from me, because I will never take your business for granted. So now that we've protected our turf, let's grow that turf, because it's easiest to build from within. You need to have a rock solid plan, starting with, do they know everything that you do? You know what the worst thing is you could hear a customer say? It's, I didn't know you guys did that. Because the next thing you're going to hear is, because we just gave that a big order for that away to someone else. And it doesn't matter how many times you've told them, tell them again. They need to understand your full capabilities. You can either tell them flat out, we do a wide format, or you can show them an example, have a case study. So they've got it in their head. You're not just pigeonholed to one particular thing. You have a variety of solutions. Get back to that goal. You want to come up with one new idea per customer. And the only way you can do that is to understand their world, sharing something about their world. Maybe you're reading in the Wall Street Journal an article that pertains to their business. And you think, oh, they must read that. Every Tuesday night, now Wednesday nights, but I play pickleball with a guy who owns 3 car dealerships. And so I see him once a week. And the interesting thing about studying vertical markets like cars and banks and hospitals and whatnot is that those articles in the journal just pop out at you. They just jump. It's like you focus on them. And I remember saying to David, my friend David, wow, that was a great article in the Wall Street Journal this morning about the lack of semiconductor chips, huh? He said, the what? And then a week later, I said, there was a great article in the Wall Street Journal. Did you see it? It was about the real economic impact of hybrid cars, electric cars, and conventional gas cars. And he said, there was? I said to him, dude, do you follow your own industry? If you show that you care, you stay top of mind. This is also going to help you to keep that account, and it's going to help you to grow. Because you want to understand, again, their business needs, their business challenges, so that you can get to where they're going ahead of time. You want to be able to say, if you've got this problem, we've got the solution. That's how you keep an account. So make certain that you make it a goal. Every account gets one new idea. And then I'll say it again, remind them, this is why you buy from me. Now, we're still in the stables. I want you guys to think about what the back of your DVD says. Back when there were Blockbuster videos, or maybe right now you can walk down the aisle of a Best Buy. You pick out a DVD, a movie, You flip it over and you read the back. You read what everybody else says. Understand this. We live in an Amazon world. They are dictating everything about our world. They just bought MGM Studios yesterday. Now they're going to be dictating more movies. But you don't buy anything without looking at the ratings. You wouldn't buy something that has 3.5 stars, would you? You buy things that's 4 stars, 4.5 stars, and up. So what do your stars say? What does LinkedIn say about you? First of all, you might want to ask someone, hey, would you do me a favor? Would you go onto my LinkedIn profile? Tell me what you see. And then I come back with some honest feedback that would really help you, starting with your profile picture. You don't have a profile picture of your dog. Your profile picture needs to be something that says success, something that says informative and helpful and friendly, and you want to do business with me. You want to have a job title that's of interest. Sales representative? Nope. Account rep? Nope. Don't get cutesy, but have something up there that's interesting. As you look at somebody else's LinkedIn profile, look at the fact that only a little bit of it is shown, and then make note of that. If you have this long paragraph, they're not going to see it. Get testimonials. Ask someone to write something about you and then follow up with them. It's a great way of, once again, making that Amazon style sale, because someone might look down and say, Bill's a terrific educator. He's a good sales coach. He really helped me. My business went from here to here. And they're going to say, okay, he's been proven. We live in an Amazon world. You want to use yourself as metrics. Be someone that you would want to do business with. I remember years ago, I was watching this interview on Good Morning America, and they asked 2 guys, Chuck Jones and Fritz Freeling. And I bet if you saw those names written out, you know exactly who they are. These are the creators of Looney Tunes, and Bugs Bunny, etc. And the interviewer asked, did you write for adults or did you write for kids? And Chuck Jones said, neither. We wrote for ourselves. The fact that other people found it funny, well, that was just coincidental. That's how you need to present yourself. Present yourself as someone that you would want to do business with, and then get as many connections as you can. Make it a goal, 10 new connections a week, 20 new connections a week. You want to have thousands. It will help you in ways that I cannot predict. My daughter, Emma, who's now finishing up her doctorate at Cornell this weekend, when she graduated from Quinnipiac, she thought she wanted to work on the West Coast. So she said, Dad, I want to do microbiology research in Seattle. And I went and put in my, I've got close to 5,000 contacts. I put in the search, microbiology, Seattle. The top company came up. The president and founder was 1 connection away from me. I reached out to that guy who was a TV personality in New York and a longtime friend of mine. And he got me an interview. He got Emma an interview. And that whole process took 45 minutes. That's it. Well, LinkedIn can help that way. You want to get into a humongous corporation and you've got a lot of contacts, that's how it's going to happen. So we've got the apple polished. Well, we got to do a little bit of marketing now. I probably say this 5 times a week. Marketing is the new sales. You can't get past voicemail. You can't find anybody. But how about if they found you? Begin a marketing campaign. And I'm not talking about your company. I'm talking about you individually. How could you get the story out there that you helped that bank to launch that fabulous promotion that was such a huge success? Tell the story. Make a quick YouTube video. They're easy. Open up a PowerPoint presentation, or if you're like me and you use Keynote, that's fine too. 4 slides. First one, here's the problem the customer had. Second one, here's the solution that we came up with. Third one, here are the results. Fourth one, here's something about my company. A voiceover. Screen looks just like this. You're showing the examples. And that's how you start the marketing process. Maybe you write a white paper. White papers are how to. You put something out there. Let's see. How to avoid the mistakes people make when running a trade show or trade show booth. Anybody who downloads that is a prospect for you who sells the print and the graphics for the trade show booth. That's great marketing. But get visual and tell the story. You want to have someone call you and say, I saw your video and I've got that exact same problem. Years ago, I gave this advice and actually did the videos myself for a client down in Baltimore. He had contracted with me to do 5 videos. After 2 videos, he called me and said, "This isn't working. Essentially, you're fired." So I said, okay. 2.5 years later, my phone rang and it was him. And I thought he was just calling to catch up. He said, "I've been meaning to call you for about a year to apologize." I said, "Apologize for what?" He said, "You were right." He said, "We get 25 to 30 inquiries a month over those 2 videos you made. And both of them were success story videos. It works. It absolutely works. No one will call and say, 'What do you do?' They'll call you and say, 'When can you start?'" Now, there is a question that I get asked quite frequently. Do I really want to post things on LinkedIn showing what I've done for other people? The answer is absolutely yes. If your relationship with that account is so weak that putting it up on LinkedIn is going to cost you the account, you probably A, are going to lose it anyway, and B, probably deserve to lose it because your account should be tighter than that. You want to build that brand. This is what we did for that company. This is what we did for that company. So if you're ever looking on LinkedIn, you're shocked that your competition is broadcasting exactly what they print for that hospital, don't be, because other hospitals are looking at them and they're calling your competition. If you go on the website, especially, I think you've got to be an insider. So I think you'd have to activate your free membership. There's a couple of great videos on there by 2 salespeople who have done their own video marketing. One's name is Amanda Bernowski. Amanda lives in Western Pennsylvania. She lives in the Pittsburgh area. And she's a hoot. I love her to death. And what she has done a series of educational promotional videos on things like print and mail. And she told me that she's been selling now for just under 2 years. She said 85% of her business comes from those videos because people contact her and say, "I saw your video and I want to talk to you." She is identifying herself as an SME, a subject matter expert. The other interview that I did is with Michael Canino. Michael sells for Konica Minolta, and he's a howl. He's out in Tennessee. And one day he pulls over to the side of the road. He goes in, he had just come out of an account. He pulls over to the side of the road. He grabs his cell phone, holds it up in the air, and he's got, and I think it's Nashville in the background. He called it the Batman building. And I think that's the AT&T building where they filmed the last Batman movie. And he starts talking into his cell phone, and he was shocked that he got 2,600 views in 3 weeks. And Michael's, these are not polished videos. At least Michael's is not a polished video. But he said, "I couldn't believe the response that I got." And I had customers and prospects and people calling. His phone was ringing from people that he was trying to get in touch with that said, "Hey, I saw your video." That's the power that you can unleash by doing a little bit of marketing. I mentioned earlier being wicked smart, as we say here in Boston. Being wicked smart means reading. But if you look at, this is my reading list. Everybody, I always get asked, what do you recommend? What do you recommend? This is my reading list. But you'll notice, I think there's 2 business books here. But this is what I recommend you read. Number 1, the best book on sales ever written, How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie, written in 1937. Has nothing to do with sales. It's not a sales book. It's a human nature book. What it says is you can get what you want when you figure out what the other guy wants and help him to get it. You can get what you want. You can make your sale when you figure out the business needs of your client and help solve them. Solve the problems, earn the orders. Next one, The 4 Agreements, written by Don Miguel Ruiz, not a business book. But listen to the 4 agreements. Be impeccable with your word. Make no assumptions. Take nothing personally and always do your best. Then there's the 5 love languages. 5 love languages talks about literally how people feel and receive love. 5 ways: physical touch, words of affirmation, acts of service, gifts, and quality time. When you read that book, you will understand everyone around you, but you'll also understand that you need to reach out to your customers and figure out what's their communication language. Who do I need to be in order to connect with them? So far, we've got 3 non-business books. Here's a 4th, The 5 Elements of Effective Thinking, written by 2 college professors, Berger and Starbird. I was actually listening to that as I was working out this morning. I listen to this 3 times a year. And I was rehearsing this a couple days ago, and I said to myself, I need to listen to that again. I started today during my workout. This is a great way of helping you to become a more creative thinker, because it really does shake you up. Okay, here's the first business book on my list, Never Split the Difference by my friend Chris Voss. Chris was a former FBI negotiator, and he was a hostage negotiator. And he took his negotiating tactics to the business world. And Chris did an amazing job with this book. I say he's my friend because I recommended in my Printing Impressions column that you not go into the new year until you've read his book. And he reached out to me via LinkedIn, and I was so starstruck because the book is really amazing. If you can, get the audio version, because the actor who reads it has got one of those like McGruff, the crime dog kind of voices. And he sounds like a tough guy. He sounds like an FBI guy. And Chris has a company called Black Swan outside of Washington. If you ever get a chance to hear him speak, he's on podcasts and things, but it's really brilliant. That's a great book. That's another one that I've listened to again and again and again. Long trips. It's about 6 hours from here to Cornell University. That's one of the books that I listen to because he does such a great job. Never Split the Difference. The Assertiveness Workbook. I highly recommend this for everybody. Not if you're just shy, but everybody. Everybody needs to hear what Randy Patterson has to say. There are several assertiveness workbooks on Amazon. If you're going to get this one, it was written in 2000. The cover is black and it's got a logo on it that looks like the Microsoft logo. But it's Patterson, Randy Patterson. And this book really helps you to just dial it up a little bit. You can be assertive without being aggressive. You can be assertive without being obnoxious. And that's what you want to be. You want to put yourself out there just a little more, just one more time. And this also helps you to give and receive feedback, which is something that not many of us do well. The next book is for those of you like me who are ADD. It's called Driven to Distraction. And Driven to Distraction was written by Edward Hallowell, who was a college professor at Harvard. He left to start a company that helps, in this case, he's in the Boston area and I've met him, and he helps young people like 7th and 8th graders with their ADD. He's a tremendous guy. This book, if you've got an ADD or you know someone who's an adult who has ADD, or you think you do, you will swear that Dr. Hallowell sat next to you, looked at you, and then wrote this book. It's incredible, but it really gives you clarity, as it did me. I'm 60 years old now. When I was 38, that's when I discovered I was ADD. And that book helped me to get some workarounds. I carry that through airports and people come over like, oh my God, that book saved my life. I can't tell you how many people said that. Brand Warfare. Who's it? Michael D'Angelo, maybe the president of John Hancock, who wrote that. Very interesting book about how companies build their brand. It'll give you some introduction into the idea of a personal brand. Very good book. Essentialism is right here. And I pull this out. Look at the bottom. The Disciplined Pursuit of Less. You're going to hear me talk a little bit more about the principles in this book. This book, I think probably How to Win Friends and Influence People changed my life. This book also changed my life. This is not a business book. This is more of a time management, self-help book, kind of, but I'm going to give you my interpretation of it. And I'll give you some ideas a little bit in a couple of numbers here. I think we're on 5. What do we go? 7 and 8, I think, are about that book. Essentialism is a wonderful book. And it's about focusing on the things that you do best and then focusing all your attention there. I'll get to that in a second. The final book is one of Malcolm Gladwell's book. Malcolm Gladwell wrote The Tipping Point. He wrote Outliers, and he wrote Blink. And Blink is about making educated first impressions, or what he calls thin slicing. Going into a situation, sizing it up, and then quickly ascertaining, again, my interpretation, this is my customer, this is not my customer, or this is a good situation, or there's something wrong with this situation. So that's what it's going to take to get wicked smart. All of those books, by the way, the links to all those books are on my website, or right up on all those books are on my website, and you can go. You don't have to be an insider. Just go to either billfarquharson.com or find the Sales Vault Insider, scroll down to the bottom, and you'll see the reads. We kept that part free because I get that question all the time. Uncovering new lead sources. This is the next thing that I think I want you to do. We're still sharpening the saw, as Stephen Covey would say. The best lead sources you're going to find are through paying attention. Reading the Wall Street Journal, for example. If you're not reading the journal, you're out of your mind. This is the absolute best source of great information there is today. They've got fascinating articles. It's very well written. They've got one of the best sports writers in the country in Jason Gay. The guy's a rock star, despite the fact that he went to Wisconsin. I'm sure that hurts, but what they do is they will cover trends, and you'll be able to understand where businesses are going. There was a whole article, there's a pull-out article on hospitals and about how their hospitals were, because it was a couple of years ago now, building emergency rooms on busy corners. And I was down in Dallas visiting Fast Signs, I think it was, and I couldn't believe this. There was like emergency room, emergency room, emergency room. There was more emergency rooms than there were Waffle Houses down there. But that was an interesting piece of information. Why do I care? Just in case I get hurt? No. If they're building something on the busy road, they need help promoting it. If you're reading about a trend, you've got an in. Now you can make a call at a higher sales level and have a different conversation. You're not calling about their print. You're not calling about their packaging. You're calling to help them with something you read that might affect them. Get sales curious. Pay attention. When you're in a situation, whether it's networking, which we're going to be doing more of course, as things open up, use 5 words. First 2, how's business? That's it. Everybody loves talking about themselves. It's their favorite subject. They want to talk about their business. They want to tell you how things are going. Let them. They're going to give you all the information you need to solve the problem, but don't solve it before you've said 3 more words. Tell me more. Someone said to me, Bill, you're the father of 3 girls. You need to learn the phrase, tell me more. Now I'm the father of 6 girls and 1 boy. And tell me more. Tell me more about that. The more listening you do, the less talking you do, the more opportunities you will uncover. At a higher level, you will solve problems. You will earn orders. All of this because you are paying attention. The best lead sources come from your everyday life. They don't come from a list. They come from your observing what's going on around you. And if you just listen, I was at a Lowe's yesterday and the assistant manager, I was just chit-chatting with him as I was returning something. The manager said, Lowe's is up 38% in sales. I'm thinking, okay, so what else does that mean? I mean, you go automatic that way. How do I benefit from that? What other industries are doing really, really well? Thinking about that like as an investor as well, but certainly as a salesperson. Now, I mentioned this book, Essentialism. Okay. This book was handed to me by my daughter, Emma. I love the phrase, the disciplined pursuit of less. My interpretation, you can be really good at time management. You can be an amazingly efficient salesperson, but you can be doing the wrong things. So you can be making really good time, if you will, going in the wrong direction. Or you can know exactly what you should do, but never get to it because your time management sucks. It's only when these 2 things cross that you succeed. And this idea of a sales silo is how I interpreted Greg McKeown's book, Essentialism. Name the top activities that you do in sales that make you the most money. What's the best use of your time? It can be no more than 5. Here's some examples. Maintaining existing accounts, getting more business from those existing accounts, getting new business from new customers, selling to one piece of equipment, selling just one application, selling to one vertical market. These are all great ideas for sales silos. And once you have identified them, then what you do is you focus 100% of your time there. It's a very difficult step, but it's one that I took 2 years ago. COVID wiped it out. But COVID also forced me to rethink everything. And that's where the sales vault came in. Because one of my chief money makers was gone. In fact, two of my chief money makers were gone. Nobody wanted coaching. Nobody wanted to hear a public speaker. Gone. So I spent 6 months trying to figure out where to go. And it was that guitar behind me that led the way, because I found online this thing called a Patreon, which you may or may not know what a Patreon is. But basically, it's a subscription-based service, which is what the Sales Vault is, because I was paying attention. So once you identify your sales silos, you need a plan for each one. And I want you to think about Geico. If I said to you, if I ask you the question, name what is a Geico ad campaign, you probably have the choice of what, 7? They've got the camel. They've got the caveman. They've got 15 minutes can save you 15%. You need to have a plan for each one of your silos. So great. Maintaining existing accounts and growing existing accounts. What's your plan? New business. How are you going to get there? Selling to a vertical market. Which vertical market? So that you want to take this concept of basically what you're doing is you're applying the Pareto's principle. Wilfredo Pareto was an Italian at the turn of the 19th century. He made the observation that 80% of Italy is owned by 20% of its customers. It became known as Pareto's principle. And then a guy named John Duran applied it called it the 80-20 rule. And he applied it to business. 80% of your business comes from 20% of your accounts. 80% of your profitable activity comes from 20% of the stuff on your task list. The other 80% is garbage. It doesn't belong there. So one of the things that I talk about in the Sales Vault is how to identify those things and then focus 100% of your time and attention on those activities and say no to everything else. It's a longer story, and the author talks about how to filter other opportunities, but I can tell you firsthand, it absolutely works. You truly will sell more in less time by following this thinking. So think about each opportunity. Where do I want to be in 6 months? How am I going to get there? What specific actions do I need to take for the next 7 days? That's the next step. There's 5 steps in the process. These are the first 2. Identify your silos. And then every single week, you want to have an action plan. I do this with my sales coach. My sales coach, we hold each other accountable. And I will say to her, here's what I am doing in the next 7 days for my top account, for the Sales Vault, for coaching, for whatever else I'm doing. And this is specifically what I am going to do. And then we meet every week and she asks me, did you get those things done? And if I didn't, then I have to explain why. And then I have to explain to her, here's what I'm doing over the next 7 days. That's how you do it. You just leapfrog the baby steps. So if you've got your silo, which is number 7, come up with a plan. That's number 8. Number 9 is to increase your efficiency. Here's the time management portion of the program. What this says is that your goal is to see the day, the week, and the month ahead. The best sales tip I can ever give you: never leave today without having tomorrow planned. You want to come in every single day and you want to have a list of what to do. Here's mine. You want to have priorities identified. 1, 2, 3 priorities. If I get nothing else done, I'm going to do those 3 things. You want to have your personal activities even identified. This one says chimney sweeps. Get a chimney sweep. Check out the brakes in the Volkswagen. So my personal stuff is on there as well. I did this yesterday, not this morning. If you're showing up in the morning without a plan, you're already behind. You want to see the week ahead. I'm already thinking about the week of May 31st. I've already got that in my mind, because good efficiency comes from that kind of planning. I'm already seeing the month ahead. I realize that I've got 5 selling weeks left between now and the week that includes the 4th of July. I'm thinking as far ahead as Labor Day. I'm thinking about the day after Labor Day, and I'm thinking, where do I want to be the day after Labor Day? And then what do I have to do this summer in order to get there? I am constantly thinking ahead, and it makes me incredibly sales efficient. Because here's the thing, what blows me away about time management is that the most successful sales reps I coach aren't working 65 hours a week. They're not even working 40. They're working 35. They've got 10 handicaps. They mow their lawn during the day. It's the sales reps that are selling $200,000, not 2 million, that are working 65 hours a day, 65 hours a week. What fascinates me is how the best of the best use their time. And I really believe that you could quit work early, still get the job done, and be even better at it. And that's exactly what I've been proving in my own life. Remember this question: what's the best use of your time right now? That's a question that you ought to write on a piece of paper and stick on your computer. What's the best use of my time right now? Or a different variation. If you're doing something, stop and ask yourself, is this really the best use of my time right now? Does that mean that you should be working all the time? No. Does that mean you should be selling all the time? No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying is you want to be efficient and you want to be smart about your time choices. So if I stop and I say, you know what, I've got a trip coming up later on this week, that would be a better time. If I'm on an airplane, that would be a better time to write my monthly column, not right now. So I'll make some notes and I'll stick it aside. That's good time management. See the day ahead. Never leave today without having tomorrow planned. See the week ahead. Be thinking about next week, this week. See where you are in the month. See where you are in the calendar year. See where you are in the selling cycle. All of that makes for sales efficiency. And that's the goal. Become more productive. Now, one of the best ways for this, all of this to happen, all of this planning and sales activity goals, is to ask someone to hold you accountable. This works with everyone, myself included. My 17-year-old stepdaughter is holding me accountable and I'm holding her accountable. But she's not in sales, obviously. She's going to be a senior in high school the fall. And she said, I really want to save 70% of the money I'm earning at the supermarket. And I said, great, I will hold you to that. I said, I really want to do a better job of stretching every day. So she said, okay, how long are you going to stretch every day? I said, 10 minutes minimum. So every day I get up and I whip out my Apple Watch, and I hit 10 minutes and I go, and then I report into her once a week. She shows me her savings account and she shows me her pay stubs. I'm holding her accountable. Adding accountable by being a big mouth. You're guaranteed to hit your goals because someone else will hold you accountable. I rode I rode my motorcycle cross country 8 years ago. And I did it because my daughter Madeline was graduating high school and she said, Dad, what are you going to do when I'm gone? She said, Katie's gone, Emma's gone, you're not attached. What are you going to do? Jokingly, I said, maybe I'll ride my motorcycle cross country. Well, I said it to so many people that people started asking, when are you leaving? Then I said, oh my God, I really have to go. I really have to go now. And I did. I left August 3rd, 2013. I made it to San Francisco 6 weeks later on the 15th of September. But I went because I felt as though people were holding me accountable, so that I committed to something. If you say I'm going to make 5 calls a day and you have somebody checking in with you on a daily basis or on a weekly basis anyway, you'll get it done. It's just human nature. So I'll back up and I'll say, none of these things here that I've just given to you are specific to COVID. You have to have these things in place, and you need to make certain that you can start this at any time, whenever you feel comfortable, whenever you feel down. If your sales are not where you want them to be, ask 4 questions. Number 1, am I making a high value, well-researched sales call? The quality of your sales call. That is the single most important skill a sales rep can have. It's studying the client. It's looking at their website. It's understanding their world. Are you making a high value, well-researched sales call? Number 2, are you calling on the right kinds of accounts? Do you have a good target market? Not just the industries, but who within those markets? I said, I'm 60 years old. When I was 25 years old, my target market was completely different. You know, now I get called sir. I was talking to my brother. Andy just retired. Andy's 69 now. He retired about 3 or 4 months ago. And if you know Yankee Candle, you know my brother. Those are all his labels. Bath and Body Works, those are all his labels. He was a stud. $23 million a year in labels my brother sold for a $27 million company. So needless to say, he was an important cog in that wheel. And, you know, Andy and I talk all the time about our goals and about our background and our training and everything else. But the target market, who we are calling on, is huge. That's kind of where that blink comes in, because you want to find that you want to get that feeling like, yep, this is absolutely my person, my kind of people. The third question you need to ask yourself: do I have an effective prospecting process? Do I have a step-by-step, week-by-week process? Step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, week 1, week 2, week 3, week 4. The good news is it doesn't matter what your steps are. It doesn't. There's no one magic system. What matters is number 4. Am I making enough calls? Am I being diligent enough? Am I being persistent enough? Or am I quitting too early? Those 4 things, if you do all 4 of them, I guarantee your success. High value call, right target market, prospecting process, diligence. If you are doing those 4 things, you will succeed 100% of the time. If your sales are not what you want them to be, rate yourself on a scale of 1 to 10 over those 4 issues. Because the reason why you're not selling more is within 1 or more of those things. It's probably either one of 2 things, by the way. It's either a low quality call. Hi, my name is Bill and I sell printers or anything I can quote on. Or you're not making enough calls, meaning you're not being persistent enough with the same accounts. Again, I encourage you to go and activate your free membership at the Sales Vault. There are a lot of workshops up there. We have some new ones that are starting next week. We have a program called Prospecting for Introverts, which we just started. We've got some, we'll give you some help with generating leads through LinkedIn and the time management thing that I was talking about. There's a weekly peer discussion where everybody brings one sales challenge to the call. These happen Wednesdays, noon Eastern time. Everyone brings one sales challenge to the call and we share ideas. So you walk away with a perspective of your peers. There's on-demand programs, everything else up there. I won't beat you to death with this, but salesvaultinsiders.com/PIM will get you there. So I'm going to take you away from this screen. I'm going to stop my share so that you don't have to see my screen anymore. And I will take a drink, please. If you have any questions, jot them down in the Q&A. It's very difficult, Steve. It's really hard to talk to that little green dot in your computer. I should have put your picture up there.
Well, I don't know about my picture, but I'm sure you could find better looking pictures. But I agree that it does help to be talking to someone versus a screen. So I know we don't have any questions yet, but I think it's a terrific opportunity that everyone has here to be able to ask, and whether it's about a vertical market strategy or whether it's about really how to manage remote workers today, and how to actually engage people in getting back on the phone and getting back in touch with people, maybe in person. I mean, there's a variety of strategies that I'm sure Bill could share with, whether you're a sales manager or a sales professional. Welcome any questions for Bill. Bill, give us a sense on the Sales Vault of what do you think is because that's really taken off. You're really engaging with a lot of people now on a regular basis. Tell us a little bit about the Sales Vault and how you think it's making a difference for companies.
Well, yeah, we've had hundreds of people sign up right now. We're a little over 500, as a matter of fact. And what we have found is that it's building community. When we opened up the doors, we weren't quite sure what people were going to do with the content. It's my 35 plus years of videos and tips and columns and everything else. And then we had these on-demand programs, and we found that people wanted it live. They want the interaction. So we've had groups that show up every single week and they become friends. It's been fascinating. So it's been motivating, it's been educational, and people are asking questions like this one of me and of their peers. How has COVID affected compensation and incentivization for salespersons? You know, that's a really great question. So to first answer Steve's, you know, you're getting my viewpoint, but you're getting that of your peers as well, because there's print salespeople and selling owners, packaging, label, etc. We have a combination. My answer to that question, Ryan, is that a lot of sales reps have been put on straight commission. That was one of the first effects of COVID, that companies said, I can't afford a sales rep, so that I have to put them on, I've got to back up and rethink everything. That's what happened eventually, that they said, let me re-examine my sales force. My buddy who owns the automobile dealers, same thing. First thing he did was to let his entire sales staff go, because he said, no one's going to buy cars during COVID. Well, he and everybody else were wrong. So he brought people back on, but he brought them back in a different fashion. He got a chance to rethink everything. And you want to have a sales compensation structure, which when I get asked the opinion, what do I want it to be? Just remember, sales reps follow the money. So if there's one piece of equipment that you want them to sell them to, you want them to sell to, overcompensate them for it. So if it's digital, if it's variable, print and mail, whatever, sales reps follow the money. MJ, if you're unable to reach a contact due to remote working and they're not reading your email, can you suggest a different strategy? Hovercraft, no. I was going to send my card to them in the mail with a thank you card type thing. Yep, that works too. I would suggest LinkedIn and reach out to them there. You might also try and connect with someone else at the company. In particular, one of my favorite workarounds, go on their LinkedIn page and or go search through LinkedIn to see if they have any salespeople. If that company has a salesperson, connect with them, ask them, tell them, hey, I'm trying to get in touch with Steve Bonoff. Do you know where Steve is? Salespeople are your brothers and sisters under the skin. They will always help you. So now you've got an inside person. It might be someone that says, hey, I'll reach out to him for you. But yes, it is absolutely more difficult than ever to find people. Don't make the assumption, however, that your voicemails are not being heard. They are. They are. You are moving the sales needle. So you need to behave as though they are going to do business with you. They just can't talk to you right now because they're busy doing something else. But operate under the assumption that you'll talk to them. I know it's hard. When you get off the phone, then you can curse and everything else. But for now, just put that between your ears. They're just busy doing something else. Do you have any advice on how to put the case studies you referred to together, the case studies? Well, yeah, there's really what you want to do is write them up. I talked about that PowerPoint presentation. Really, I'll say it again, 4 slides. Here is the problem that the client had. Here's the solution. The second slide is here's the solution we came up with. Show a picture of it. So the client wanted to launch a new product. Slide, then number 2, here's what we did for them. Number 3, here's the outcome. It's just voiceover. So those case studies like that, they're visual, they tell a story. I like the video part of it because it's quick and easy. It can be informal. It doesn't have to be all kinds of polished, but something like that, you can then take that URL and send it to someone. Hey, Steve, I've been trying to get you on the phone. Here's a 90-second video that'll show you what we did for someone else. And if you put it on YouTube, you can set it to unlisted and you can know whether or not they watched it because the view count will go bing up to 1. So now you know they watched it and you'd be surprised. So those case studies, it's so easy to put together. Voiceovers, they're crazy and they're free. They cost nothing. And it's clever, it's different. And that might also be another answer to your question, MJ, where you are creating something and then sending them the video. Just be creative. Hold your phone out. Just say, hey, MJ, it's Bill Farquharson. I'm the guy that's been trying to reach you on the phone. Listen, the next time I call and you see a caller ID that ends in 7036, that's me. Pick up the phone. Now that's Northeast aggressive, but it works. If you see the phone number that ends 7036, just know that's me. That's where being assertive comes in. When NDAs cover, this next question, when NDAs, non-disclosure agreements, cover a significant number of your clientele, but they are willing to provide reviews, what is the best way to publicly post that review to prospective clients without encroaching on your customer agreements and alerting your competition to a client's business? Okay, this is a great question. And you might think, well, that's kind of a individual. This is the best way to get a testimonial or a review. If, let's suppose Steve said to me, wow, Bill, that was such a great presentation you gave. Our members were really engaged. I got some great comments over that. Thanks so much. What I would do then is I would write what I heard, send it back to Steve and say, Steve, may I use this in my marketing? Steve would then email back with a yes or no. If I have a yes, I have permission. But think about that. Steve didn't write that testimonial. I did. I'm writing what I heard. That doesn't mean that I'm taking advantage of that. It just means if I say to Steve, would you please write me a testimonial? He'd say, absolutely. And I probably wouldn't see it because we get busy. And then I feel awkward about, geez, hey, Steve, remember you're going to say some nice things about me? That's how you get the testimonial written in the first place. They will tell you if you can't use their name or they can't use the specific information. But I would take that approach first. The other issue, by the way, gang, do I want to mention the other companies that I work with? No, you don't. So if someone even asks you, what other clients do you have? And you think, oh, this is a great opportunity to tell the bank all the other banks I do business with. What I would respond with is, we keep every relationship private. I would never want you to think he's talking about me to my competition, so that we don't talk about other clients or other situations. I think that's a very professional way to handle that situation.
Well, keep your questions coming. That's terrific. Bill shares a little bit about a vertical market. I mean, this is one of my kind of pet peeves, is that I feel like there's maybe not as much education and information gathering going on for the needs of particular customers that are very specific to their market. That the more you can really understand the world that they live in, the better understand how to tailor the capabilities that your company offers to meet some of those needs. Where have you found some success stories from people really understanding the needs of a particular buying segment to be able to actually open up a door?
It's funny you asked that, Steve, because I just finished a whole research on banks. I'm going to be doing the end of next month, I think it's June 24th, I'm doing a live workshop on selling to banks. So we do, and then in July, I'm doing one on hospitals. So when I research the vertical, I will literally Google trends in banking 2021. One of my favorite things to Google, 10 marketing mistakes banks make. I mean, there's a million, literally a million clicks on that or hits on that. And it's an article, it's a blog, and I get all these little tidbits of information. For example, Steve, did you know that banks spend 10 times as much money on sponsorships than they do on marketing? What do we care? Well, you're flipping through the ad, the newspaper, and it says that there's a small craft fair or a beer fest or a music festival coming up sponsored by Eastern Bank. And you look at all the names of all the other sponsorships. If you want to get involved with that bank, get involved with that fair. donate a banner. It's going to cost you what? $100, $200? But think about it. If you're the one who's collecting all those logos from all those corporations, you get to call them and say, hey, Steve, my name is Bill Farquharson. I want to come in and I want to show you where your logo is going to be on the banner. No, don't email it to me. I'll come get it. That's a great way of getting in. The other thing that I would do is I would contact the trade association. Steve, when you and I worked at the trade association, if somebody called and said, tell me about the print world, boom, off we go. So I'm going to call up the American Banking Association. Hi, my name is Bill Farquharson. I'm preparing a sales call on a bank. Could you tell me what's going on in your world? Absolutely. I might even join the association if I feel strongly enough about that vertical. So finding information on a vertical market is plentiful. It's everywhere. And then you pick up these little sound bites, these little factoids. Then you hear yourself spit them back to a customer and you will literally say, oh my God, did I say that? That sounded wicked smart.
I love that. I love the idea of joining actually a trade association for the vertical market and then just starting to get immersed into what the world is all about. I love that idea.
Yeah.
Answer that question from Ryan.
Oh, sure. Ryan, I had a great customer lined up and ready to sign. Then their leadership came in at the last minute and said they are a do no harm company. My buyers had to stick with their current supplier because they needed to adhere to their mission. All right, here's a new one. What tactics could I use to get over this hump? We have a higher value offer and process. They stand to save/make more with our services.
I don't know.
Right, every once in a while, and this doesn't happen all that often, a new question is put up there. And this is a new question. I've never heard of this one before. Do no harm. My knee-jerk reaction is there's something else going on here. This is an objection that I think, wait a minute. This is kind of a, like maybe they're fearful of changing. Maybe there's an uncomfort level, but there's do no harm.
I've been unmuted and I can add a little bit to this context.
Please do, Ryan.
So it was a long sales process. It was about 3 months, and quite literally we were about to sign on the dotted line and become contractually obligated to them. And a leader came out and said that they are a do no harm, and in changing suppliers, they would be doing harm to that supplier, is what they referred to. I did do some further penetration with the people that I was contacting with and kind of got the gist of it, saying that they'd been with their current supplier for about 5 to 7 years. And they knew that this is all when the COVID pandemic started up in April-ish timeframe. And they saw their current supplier as a potential of maybe putting them out of business if they shifted their business to us. And although my salespeople or my people that I was talking to were ready to just take it and go because they saw the value, they saw all of the positivity in moving things, the leadership saying the do no harm policy was going to cause harm to their vendor was an absolute stopgate for them. So I was shocked. It's something I'd never heard before, but I had nothing to say in regards to what can I come back to them with, you know?
You know what, the only thing I can think of now that you've given it some more background is the message that I would get back to them was, I deeply respect your integrity and admire the fact that you care like this. Let's revisit this 6 months down the road. Maybe that other company will be on better financial standing. In the meantime, I will continue to gather information on your company and your industry in the hopes that I can help you by either lowering the usage cost of your documents or increasing their value, because bringing ideas to my clients, that's what I do. We help our customers find their customers. So that's the high road.
Yeah, that really closely aligns to the road that I'm taking right now. So I've been touching base every so often. Unfortunately, they're not really returning my emails or calls at this time, but I'm going to continue down I respect where you're at, and we'll try to make it work down the road.
That is a new one, Ryan. You win. Congratulations.
Thanks.
Go ahead and take the rest of the day off.
Thanks, Ryan. Bill, so someone is asking here about the example dialogue of what you're saying, and I'm assuming they're talking about cold calls dialogue, but kind of give us a sense of some strategies around calling.
Well, yeah, you know what? If I've done my research, then I know something about the company. So I will research a company until I can finish the sentence that starts, the purpose of my call is ... The purpose of my call is to talk to you about something that I saw on your website. Steve, I see that you're going to participate in a trade show at the McCormick Place in Chicago this September. I'm calling to help you to make that more successful. So I'm not talking about print. Dale Carnegie, I can get what I want. I figure out what the customer wants. So I want to find something on that website. Again, this is the number one skill that a sales rep can have, is to look at that website, figure out what their business needs are. I can get what I want when I figure out what they want. Well, what do they want? They want growth. Everybody wants growth. Other than mergers and acquisitions, there's only 3 ways to grow. Get more customers, get more from existing customers, go into new markets. That's it. So the website has something like, come see it at the trade show at the McCormick Place in Chicago this September. Boom, there's your sales call. So I'm looking for something that I can hang on to, because even if I get a no, it's still a better no. Okay, so if that's not on your front burner right now, then what is? Because what I do is I help clients to meet those business needs. So what I'm going to say is going to be specific to my research. I'm not going to talk about print. I'm not going to talk about capabilities. And if I can't do that, then I don't pick up the phone. There's my anonymous answer.
Good.
Hi, Bill. How would you approach a situation? How would you approach a situation where I, as a sales rep, feel I could make a better use of my time toward developing a target marketing / prospecting strategy rather than simply making contact with every company assigned to me in our CRM, which is part of expectation of upper management. I do not readily agree that simply because they are a contact we got from one source for another, that they're a quality lead. I imagine positive sales would speak for themselves and throw that expectation to the wayside, but wanted your opinion. This is a sales situation. You're selling the interior boss. So if Steve is my boss on this and he says, I'm going to give you these names and I want you to call on them, I can get what I want when I figure out what Steve wants. Well, Steve wants sales. So I got to sell Steve on the idea that a better use of my time is going after a target marketing / prospecting strategy. So maybe I'd say to him, Steve, give me 90 days to prove this to you. If it doesn't work out, I'll go back to your way. But I think this is a better way, and I will keep you informed every step of the way. This is just a sales approach, but you're selling internally, not externally. And you may be right, you may be wrong. What else you got, gang? Gonna quiz me on state capitals or anything?
Any final questions for Bill? Well, I think we've done it, Bill.
Woohoo!
All right, I appreciate it. And so as I mentioned before, we talked a little bit about the Sales Vault. That is a new opportunity that Bill and his team, partnership with Kelly Malozzi, really, like I said, he's really added hundreds of people to their roster of helping companies improve their sales performance. And so it's working out there. And so if you're interested in hearing more about that, we've got it on our website under sales and training. So that's the Sales Vault. Happy to talk with you more about that. Any final words, Bill?
I think right now you ought to be coming up with your short-term strategy is, what are you going to do in the next 5 weeks? What sales activity goals could you put out there? How many calls could you make on a daily basis between now and the week that ends with July 2nd? Make that your goal. Short-term goals work. Then rethink everything and come up with something new for July and August. The selling cycle is such that the work that you're doing now, you are creating your fall 2021 sales. So between now and then, that's your goal. The three most important prospecting months of the year, September, October, November. So you can come up with another plan for that. But the idea of nice short-term goals works for me. So that's be my short-term advice.
Terrific. Great advice. Appreciate it, Bill. I know that made a difference. Thank you so much for your support. We look to see you again real soon.
Well, Steve, always a pleasure to see you. Thank you to your team. Thank you to Kristen and Ben and Sadie. And if anybody has any requests or information, my contact information can be found through the website or through PIM.
Sounds good. All right. Thanks all. Everyone have a great day and have a great weekend. Bye-bye.